Hey everyone, welcome into the Better In-Laws podcast. Hope everybody enjoyed their holiday season and happy new year to everyone. On to 2025 here. I've had a couple of shit weeks on the podcast, and the story of this season, at least the second half of this season, has turned into the utmost dominance of one Matthew Prisco, who also happens to be my brother-in-law, hence the podcast name Better In-Laws, as you all loyal listeners probably already know, but maybe you're a first-time listener. So if you are, welcome. And Matt, why don't you just run us through last week, if you will? And obviously, we didn't have a podcast last week because of Christmas and all stuff going on, and you just continue to dominate, and I am as cold as can be. So why don't you just give us a quick recap, and we'll move on to a very awkward week 18.
Yeah, as always, week 18 is awkward as it gets, Tuck, but we are here back doing a podcast.
Oh, you there, Matthew? And we lost Matt.
Hmm.
You there now?
Yeah, been
All
here.
right, keep
You,
going.
can
Sorry,
you hear
I
me?
got you. Just
Oh, it did say my internet is unstable, just like
unstable,
yeah.
like
No,
like my back,
ah,
which I threw out yesterday. Was on the couch all day yesterday.
that's not good. What happened?
I was halfway through a breakfast burrito that I made, and I turned.
Yeah, you can't turn. You're almost 40 now, Tuck.
I literally had my plate, and then I went like this, Matt. I went like this.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, that'll do it these days. That'll do it. It's a new year.
I was hunched over for about 15 minutes straight and could not move. Needed the muscle relaxers, and I was on the couch the entire day.
That's
So
not what we want.
your internet connection is literally my back right now,
All
unstable.
right, well, I hope my internet stays good and I hope your back feels better. Let's recap, shall we? So last week we did a little Instagram video for you with the No Podcast. And well, Tuck, back to 2-3. Back to 2-3, Tuck.
2 and 3 tuck.
You wanted to
Better
be
than 1 and 4 tuck.
better than 1-4, Tuck, so we're improving.
Jesus.
Um, your best bet with the Rams was a loss, had them -6.5. They won by 4, I believe, in
Yeah.
a gross Saturday night game in which no one wanted to win. But the Rams won, but did not cover that one, so lost there. The Chargers -4 was a double like for us. No questions about that one. 40-7 victory for the Chargers there. The Broncos +3.5 was one of the worst losses you could actually take. And I did end up betting this game on the side as well. It wasn't one of my 5, but wanted to dabble on Saturday. And that was bad. There's no reason that did not cover, except for the fact that Cade York, the kicker for the Bengals, missing a field goal from like 10 yards, which was cool. And then the Bengals get the ball back, and Joe Burrow's like, "There's no chance I'm giving the kicker a chance to win this game again because we need to win." And he did just that. So, Bengals win in OT by 6. Tough loss there for you. Jags Titans over 39.5. Didn't get there. Another gross game for the slate there on Sunday. Well under, I think, right? That was well, it almost got there, but we didn't get there. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the Lions -3.5 Monday Night Football. Close game. Lions pulled away in the end. So a nice cover for you there. Tuck got you to 2-3. 41, 43, and 1 on the season for you. 8 and 9 on best bets now. Over to me. I hit my best bet with Washington, which was a little lucky, but also they were almost unlucky based off of how
Wasn't looking good early there. Yeah. But did you live bet that one?
what's that?
Did you live bet that one when they were down?
I did not. Nope. I just I sat on it because I didn't like the ref show that was going on with all the holding calls in the first half of that game. Quite honestly, Tuck, as someone who had bet Washington, didn't like that.
Mhm.
But I will say, second half, good adjustments. Jaden Daniels is that dude. He is just awesome. And what I'll say is Michael Penix, again, love the guy, played very well for that environment in that spot, and almost an impossible situation for them. But for him, getting put in week 16 in the middle of a playoff run
Yeah.
and then go on the road for Sunday Night Football. Not an easy, and he handled it pretty well, including with Washington up 7 at the end of that game, and he delivers a 4th and goal from the 12 touchdown pass, which killed me inside. And then Washington ended up getting the ball in OT, thankfully, and going to the field and scoring. So hit that best bet. That was a little lucky. It was almost unlucky,
Hey,
but
hey, it's a win.
a win's a win. That's it. I was going to wrap it there.
So on the year, you are 50, 32, and 3, which is a percentage of, do you know off the top of your head?
62%, I believe it is.
I think it's higher than that, but
I
okay.
think
And
so.
what in your best bets, Matt?
Best bets are 12, 3, and 2. Apparently, you didn't want me to recap the rest of my games, but that's okay. Went 4-1 last week again.
It gets to a point where it just keeps going. So we just need to know the
Listen, I was talking about my best bet.
yeah, no
Most
one cares.
important,
No one cares anymore. It's over. We're on to week 18. The
I
fact
care.
of the matter is that you hit another one, and how many is that in a row for you?
Oh, in a row.
5 more.
Let's see. We're 12, 3, and 2. I was 6, 3, and 2. That's 6 in a row.
6 in a row.
Yeah.
6 in a row. Looking to make it 7 in a row this week. And on the season, Matt Prisco, 12, 3, and 2 on his best bets. Absolutely insane what he's delivering to you listeners out there on the podcast. Absolutely insane. Thank
61% for the season. Just did some math.
61 overall, and best bet percentage is 80.
80. I think that evens out, right?
Like, what do you want? What do you want from this guy? He's giving you 80% best bets.
Yeah, 12.
What the hell you want from him? So good.
80.
So, I'm very proud of you, Matt. Very proud of you.
Thanks, buddy. We're gonna end above 80 for the second straight year. That's the goal. Last year was 15 and 3 on these things.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna get there with a couple of pushes this year, but if we can hit over 80% best bets, I'm very happy. So
Yeah. Even if you don't finish above 80%, you should still be very happy.
Yeah.
With your results so far this year. All right. So week 18, like we mentioned earlier, weird week. Not only am I, in terms of my vibe check, not only am I just below 500 for the past 2 weeks, but now I'm entering week 18, like full disclaimer, like not feeling great. And I don't think a lot of bettors should be feeling great about really anything in week 18. I don't know. How's your vibe check for this week?
You just got to be very careful. You have to understand that not everything's as easy as this game means something for one team and it doesn't for the other. That these lines, one thing I'll say is, and you'll see it based off my card, all of that factors in already to the line. You're not getting any advantage there. So when you think you see there's a lot of games on the cards that you're going to look at and be like, oh, well, Cincinnati needs to win. If they want to get in, and there's just situations all over the place. There's a lot of seeding things. Seeding things become what I like to say overrated.
Yeah.
In gambling in week 18, teams that actually have something to play for, though that does not just automatically mean they're going to cover these numbers or even win outright. I like to play contrarian. I remember last year, I on week 18 gave out the Tennessee Titans +5 at Jacksonville. Jacksonville needed a win to clinch the division and get in, and they
You
didn't.
like the spoiler card?
They played the spoiler. Tennessee buried them outright, and Houston ended up winning that division because of it. So, it's don't. I just say tread lightly in week 18. Don't just think blindly that this team needs to win to get in or this team needs a better seed, so they're going to win. Like, that's baked into all these lines. Like, Vegas is very, very well aware.
And we do have a couple of spoiler candidates for this week, but you're going to have to talk me into them, and we'll get into it for this. I've also been getting a couple of texts heading into this recording, Matt, of if we or request for us to cover any incentive bets or prop bets that are out there. Is there anything that's standing out to you from that perspective? And what I'm talking about is these players who are X amount of yards away from hitting like $3 million. Like, for example, Mike Evans can hit $3 million on the season if he hits 1,000 yards and 70 catches. Right now, he's at 915 yards, so he's 85 yards away from that, and he is 5 catches away from 70 yards. So that would again notch him $3 million. So there's a couple instances out there. Is there anything before we get into our likes that's sticking out to you, or is that something that you don't really pay too much attention to?
Oh, I do. I pay attention to it. I know you texted me yesterday to bring him, and I was like, I don't know if I'll have time to dig in before the show, but I made time. Because there was no Notre Dame game last night. So I used it to
Right.
find out props. No, Mike Evans was on there, one of list 11 straight years of 1,000 yards if he gets there too. That's insane. Mike Evans. Um, and Baker's openly talked about that. Mike Evans will be the most played guy, I'm telling you right now, from a public standpoint on
Sure.
overs. So get there early because that stuff's going to
Ba-
move.
Baker's got some incentives too for him.
Yeah, he does. Him and Geno Smith are sort of in that like a
Yeah.
similar category. Geno Smith can really get paid on Sunday.
Yeah. Like $2
Um,
million in two separate categories.
yeah. So like he can go way up. I think if Seattle wins outright, he gets some cash. Um, so those two.
How about this
DeAndre
one?
Hopkins is one that I'll find interesting and I'll play, as long as he plays, which I think he
Yeah,
will.
see, I thought he was too far away from really making anything. Like he's 9 catches off
Yeah,
from like he's not going to get 9 catches. Do you think
probably not,
Carson Wentz? Yeah, yeah.
but he's a TD away from 500K.
That
So
that makes
anytime
sense.
touchdown is a guy that I'd like to take a shot on. Cortland Sutton's a
Yep.
guy within reach. I think he needs
82 yards,
82 yards. Yep.
500K.
Oh, an interesting one that I'll play depending on his health is Tony Pollard, Tuck.
Hmm.
He needs 83 rushing yards for 250,000. He also can get another 200,000 if he gets 7 touchdowns. Right now he has 5. So if you're looking for like a long shot 2 touchdown guy and Tony Pollard plays, might be worth a little sprinkle there. I know Tajay Spears has played well in his absence, but we'll
Sure.
see if Pollard goes, and if he does, like what happens there. These are the props that I like to play. A guy like Pollard, and I'll tell you the difference. This is a meaningless game to Tennessee, right?
Right.
So, what else are they trying to do? You kind of just force feeding the guy the rock. Um, play
It's going to
good
be sloppy there
players,
too, by the way.
good good teammates, guys that are not like pain in the asses,
Yeah.
whining the ball a lot. Those are the guys they want to help get those incentives, right? Another one I saw I liked Kyler Murray. If he gets
Oh, he had one?
if he gets 50 rushing yards and another score on the ground, he gets 750,000. I think he can do that against the depleted San Francisco team.
Yeah.
Uh, Another anytime touchdown might be worth a play if you want to hold your nose and pray is MVS. One touchdown, he gets $250,000. So Valdez Scantling there against the Tampa
Yeah.
secondary.
Check up some bombs in that Tampa secondary. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Saw a shootout the last time they played, so we'll see. And then just another one, Derrick Henry. This is something I'm not going to play because the
And
odds
there's never any
are
value
ridiculous.
ever.
No value, but if he gets another touchdown, he gets 15, so he's 500,000.
He might have 2+ touchdowns on
And that's it. I mean, he'll
Saturday.
probably have that in the first quarter against Cleveland.
Honestly,
Really
boy,
wanted
it's
to.
not
So
far off.
like that's where that you're going to be laying minus like 300 on an anytime touchdown with Henry. That's not don't play it.
Yeah. I'll give you one more that's pretty interesting. J.K. Dobbins, 58 yards away from 900 rushing yards. He gets 150K.
Yep.
So very curious to see what his yardage prop ends up being for rushing yards.
Mhm.
I would venture to guess it's in the 60s. And I'd still play the over in that one. But that's another one to look out for there, considering that he's been injured. But he looked pretty decent against the Patriots last week.
Yeah, one that you probably won't read too much about, but just hearing about talk is the rookie reception record between Brock Bowers and Malik Neighbors that's going back and forth. So like
Right.
Neighbors said it, Bowers broke it. Now it's back and forth. I think they're like 3 or 4 catches away from each other. So I think both of those guys
Hmm.
might get fed the rock trying to get those completions. What I will say is that Philly and the Giants play at 1 while Bowers plays, I believe, at 4. So something to watch out there for. Like if they can get Brock Bowers the ball? Do they start force feeding him receptions? Keep an eye on that. That's something that I would take a look at and play. I think Neighbors wants to have a big day. Can Bowers get within reach of catching him? And again, Vegas, they're playing like they're trying to win games, but Bowers has been the leader in that getting him the ball. So that's one that I think is interesting that won't be so public, right? I think that's one that's more of a sharp
All
play.
right. All right. I think that pretty much covers it. So, yeah, I think we threw some interesting nugs out there for you.
Yeah, MVS one is interesting. I'll play
I like
MVS
that.
because you're going to get a good number on that.
How about this? This is just being an asshole. Anytime touchdown parlay, Derrick Henry, MVS, DeAndre Hopkins.
It'd be nice.
Like you get some square money there with Henry, right? But then it
Yeah.
kind of starts to even out with MVS
Yeah.
Hopkins there. But I may do a little sprinkle of that. What the hell not? It's week 18. It's
You
gonna
got to do something fun in week
be
18.
mostly
Gotta be
garbage.
careful with these sides. We are going to trek through these games and give you our best takes on what we think, as we always do. But week 18, I just want to warn everyone, be careful with your bets.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with that, Matt, let's jump right into our likes.
Do it.
And speaking of be careful with your bets, give me the
I love this
give
one.
me the
This one,
Ravens minus 17.5. And I'm actually seeing it move. It moved
18,
to DraftKings just now to 18.5.
18 and a half.
So
Oh,
I don't know if some news was just announced on the Browns front or something, because it is Thursday and you see more and more news come out of press conferences and everything. It was 18 and now it's 18.5 in a matter of minutes. But nonetheless, if there's
keeping you off.
what's that? Is that
And
keeping
19
no.
in some spots. Holy shit.
No, I like this to 21, honestly. This is
Yeah.
listen, this is classic just Ravens blow doors territory. I don't care if it's versus a divisional team. The Browns beat this team earlier on in the season, and I just think that the Ravens are going to get in playoff ready mode. You've seen them dial it up really over the past couple of weeks, and I think they're going to make a kind of a staple game or statement game against this Browns team who's completely depleted. Is Dorian Thompson-Robinson going to be the quarterback for the Browns? I think so, right?
Yeah.
I know he had a questionable tag. Jerome Ford, he left last week's game banged up. I don't know if he's going to be out or not. I've kind of been like off the radar in terms of news on the injury front because fantasy just wrapped up. So yeah, I know it's a huge number. I understand that, but considering how the Ravens shit the bed last year in the playoffs, they're going to make a statement this week and show that they're playoff ready, and they're just going to annihilate the Browns. So if there's a 17.5 out there, take it. Obviously, 18,
There's a
I'm
couple.
fine
It's
with.
mostly 18 and
Okay.
18.5. It's up to 19 and
So,
a half
so
spots.
wow. So should I just take it? Should I, for the podcast sake, should I give an 18?
I'd say 18. The majority of books are 18. I'm not even seeing it
Let's just do
17 and a half anymore.
That's fine. All right. So Ravens for me, minus 18 in an absolute rout over the Browns. And I don't know if the Browns are going to score a touchdown.
So here's one thing for you, Tuck. Not only may it not be DTR, but it might be Bailey Zappi. So there you go.
I mean, it's really
You
not
can't
much of a
possibly
huge
like that.
not much of a huge difference. Like Zappy's okay, but he's a shitty backup quarterback at the end of the day. But in terms of like a difference between DTR and Zappy, like it's not a huge difference.
Yeah, the Ravens defense right now is coming into form. That's what we're
man.
seeing. And that's the scary part for these teams. Again, with Lamar Jackson, until you do it in the playoffs, pal,
Yeah.
I'm not backing you. But I will say this. If that defense comes around and plays like they've been playing, look out in the playoffs. I absolutely lean your way here, minus 18.
This is a hat and t-shirt game, by the way, to win
Yeah,
the game.
they clinched the division with the win here. So
Yeah, this is going to be a party in Baltimore.
sure is.
All right, there's my first like, Matt. What do you got?
Oh my God, was I close to making this my best bet? Give me the Patriots +3, baby. Not only are they going to screw up and win this game, I love this spot, and I loved it. Look, the Bills are locked into the 2 seed. Josh Allen's going to start because he's got to keep his Cal Ripken Iron Man streak going, and that's important to him. So he'll start the
Yeah.
game, hitting the ball off 3 times, and then he'll hit the sidelines. And this is a game. Look, the Patriots, if you've noticed a little trend with them, they've been playing good in every other game or
Yes.
competitive every other game this season, and they just got blown out at home. And I think they want to go out and try to win this game. Everything that Mayo's been saying is they want to win, they want to be competitive. And they're starting Drake May. That was a big piece of this for me. So the fact that they're going to go out there, they're going to win, they're going to play their guys, they're going to play hard. Look, when you have a young team, there's one thing that you try to do at the end of the season. You don't care about draft picks. If you're a player, I'm going to tell you right now, as a fan and the media and everyone else is going to tell you, oh, they don't want to win this game. They absolutely want to win this game. You know who wants to win this game? Gerard Mayo. You know who wants to win this game? Drake May. They're not going for a quarterback. They're going for a trade down scenario. And for everybody that's freaking out about the Pats having the number 1 pick, do you trust your GM to do the right thing here? Because I don't. So reality is the players in the locker room aren't going to quit. These guys play for contracts. They play for years in the league. They're playing for positions. None of these guys, none of them, besides Drake May, should be feeling comfortable about their status going into 2025, quite frankly. So what are you going to get in that type of game? You're going to get a max effort game against a Bills team who we have seen time and time again. Mitch Trubisky might play a good quarter, might play a good half. The guy cannot play a good full game. And I really think not only is New England covering the 3 here, they're winning this game outright. I just think that you're going to get an effort. They played them to a 3-point game in Buffalo a couple of weeks ago when they played all their starters, right? Like, this is a game that the Bills can't move from that 2 spot. They can't fall to 3. They can't get to 1. They're just there to get through that game healthy as possible. While the Patriots are going to show improvement, they're going to play. May's going to have a good game. He's going to be rolling around, running around out there. Patriots going to win this game. Give me the +3. New England.
It does sound like you're going to see some Joe Milton in this
Yeah,
game.
you might see
But
Joe. That's okay too.
yeah, Alex Van Pelt came out today and flat out said that Drake May is starting.
Mhm.
And Mayo alluded to that yet in Wednesday's press conference too. So May is actually listed on the injury report as having a hand injury, but apparently he's good enough to play. And we all saw you guys bell rung his words last week against the Chargers. But you are absolutely right, Matt, in terms of like this is the pattern for the Patriots in terms of get absolutely doors blown off, and then next week you actually bounce back and have a decent game. Pair that with the fact that Buffalo's nothing to play for. They're going to be resting everybody for the majority of the game. Unfortunately, yeah, I think that the Patriots very well could win this game, and they're idiots for doing so. You're in position for the number 1 pick. You need to get that number 1 pick, and they apparently think winning one lousy game in Week 18 is enough to, or more important than securing the number 1 pick. I mean,
Look at the Giants last week, Tuck.
sure,
Not to
yeah.
cut you off. I mean, it's just like these guys, the players, the coaching staff, they don't care. They'll figure out the draft order after. Oh, by the way, this is
No, they don't.
it's a terrible draft. From like first round grades, there's like 12 guys that get
Oh,
first
I've
round
heard.
grades.
Right.
It's not good. So you're gonna pick early and you're gonna get a guy that's a first round grade. That is a fact. It does
Yeah, I'd
can't
still I'd still want the number 1 pick though to get like 2026 first round pick or picks.
Yeah,
Um,
so this is where I don't. Here's where, and this is why I think it's important to note this. You're not going to get, even if they finish 1, whoever finishes 1, if they don't need a quarterback or want to trade that pick, there's not a Carolina Chicago trade coming.
right.
Like that draft had Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, other guys at the top of that draft that teams wanted. Shador Sanders, Cam Ward, they're nice. Like, I don't think these teams are like, we got to get them. We got to get them. And if
I
I'm the
could see
Patriots, I
Vegas
want to
doing that with Shador though.
maybe, but like, they're not prospects that, like, put it this way, if they were in last year's draft, they're not going before the top 5
Yeah.
quarterbacks, either
They're
of them.
probably they're probably like second or third round picks.
Exactly. Like maybe late one.
Right.
So like you got to factor that in. And like I think that's where people need to relax. Like the Pats, I've seen a lot of talk about Travis Hunter, this, that, the other thing. They need an offensive line. And there's a couple of left tackle, blue blood programs, 5-star prospect guys that are going to be as close to can't miss as you can get. Um, that's where the Patriots should focus.
Yeah,
And
and
if they
that's
get the
all the more
3 picks,
reason to
4 picks,
secure number one, though.
yeah, but like you can get it either way. Like, sure, you trade back and get value. Yeah. I mean, obviously you want one if you can have one. But I don't think to that team they give a damn about getting the 1 pick inside that room. And I just don't think so.
And I
So
think there's going to be extra incentive because of the increased speculation and reporting of Gerard Mayo being one and done here in New England. So I could totally see the Patriots coming out and winning this game. So there's that. Fucking idiots. All right, we have my second like here. Give me the Texans and Titans under 38.5 here, and give me the best possible number, Matt, or the most fair number to give on the podcast, because I did do this earlier. This is a weather game, it sounds like. I think there is rain on the forecast. I think it was an 80% chance of that. And this just feels completely gross. I mean, the last time we saw this Texans team, they scored 2 points on Christmas, and I didn't watch a friggin' second of that game, mind you. But they have absolutely nothing to play for either. And I just think this is going to be a let's get this game over with, sort of get the hell out of here, sort of thing. Yeah, 80% chance of rain. It's going to be around 40 degrees, gusty winds of up to about 20 miles an hour. It's going to be a gross game. Gross, like 17 12, 13, 17, 10. Just ugliness. Just get this away from me. Not even going to put it on red zone much. It's going to be that gross. Under 38.5 for me. And the Texans are going to try and get ready for the playoffs here. And what's seemingly going to be a first round exit for that team, by the way.
yeah, I do not like what I'm seeing out of the Texans. So they're gonna play their guys, I guess, which is interesting. They can't move from the 4 seed, but they can't go into the playoffs playing like they did on Christmas. I mean, that was as bad as it gets. As someone
Right.
who had the Texans on Christmas, my God.
That that Tank Dell injury rattled CJ Stroud and that team is rattled, man. To show up on Christmas and lay a goose egg. And I know it was 2 points, but still, like offense laid a goose egg completely.
Yep.
That was bad luck, man. Bad luck. A national spotlight, and I think they're in serious trouble here. So I just don't see a lot of points being scored in this game at all.
No. No. You're I like that side.
All right, you're a second like here, Matt. Very interesting. Very interesting here. I'll say that.
Back to the well. I didn't have him last week. I took the over instead, which hit in the third quarter, by the way. Thank you very much. I'm back to Carolina, plus 8.5, traveling to Atlanta. And Atlanta needs this game, right? They need to win and they need to get in. They need to win, but they need Tampa to lose. Um, Here's the logic here, Tuck. If you want to play Atlanta, it's a first half play. But I'd also say trend lightly there because Carolina is one of these teams that we've talked about it week after week on the show recently. It's like if you're not a good team, you're a young team, you want to be doing what the Carolina Panthers are doing, competitive losses in every game, exciting. Last week, absolutely blown out. Who the hell wants the Panthers now, right? Atlanta needs it. Panthers don't. I'll take them. I think the Panthers have a real chance to win this game. First of all,
Really?
from Atlanta's side, they are going to come into this game, and this is a playoff game to Atlanta. Okay, you have Michael Penix in his third start, and you're asking this kid an awful lot to continue these high pressure games in the first couple starts of his NFL career. Now, I know Carolina's defense is brutal. So if you, like I just said, if you are looking to play Atlanta, I'm going to tell you to play Atlanta in the first half. Okay, you can get probably a 4.5. That's the way to play Atlanta if you're going that side. Because what's going to happen is they're going to do a little scoreboard watching. And when they check in at the half to see how Tampa's doing, and they see Tampa's up 21 points on New Orleans, or if there is like an absolute blowout going on, that is going to crush this team
Ah,
from a morale standpoint. And
like it.
how do you come out and finish this game? Well, you better come out and finish this game because you're fighting against a team has nothing to lose, and they're playing balls to the wall football in the Carolina Panthers. So you're giving me over a touchdown and a 2-point conversion here. Give me the Panthers. I think the Panthers can win this game outright. I
Love
think
it.
there's a ton of pressure on Atlanta in this game to begin with, even if the Tampa Bay game is somehow close. This is a huge pressure game for a defense that still, you saw it, they played a good half of football. They got a lot of flags against Washington in that game in the first half, though, I'll say that. And that was putting the Commanders in some tough, long drives, or first and 20s, second and 20s, tough spots when you're doing that. Um, let's say you're not getting all the flags or all the calls in this one. Can you stop? Can you stop an offense that's played fairly well? And I know they're playing without Chuba Hubbard and they've been a little bit of a different team, but I still like what Bryce Young's doing in this passing game. Give me the plus 8.5 here. A lot of pressure on the Falcons in this game. Young offense, defense is overrated still. They don't scare me at all. Again, back to liking the way the Panthers have finished this season out. One more chance for the Panthers to go out and steal one here. I think they definitely cover. I will be sprinkling the money line here, but
Plus 340.
I gave it out the last time they were plus 300 dog, and they cashed in overtime with a win. That was my best bet a few weeks ago with the points. We sprinkled the money line that day. We're gonna do it here. A small play on that. That's not like a crazy play, but the 8.5, I really love. I think there's a lot of pressure on Atlanta in this game. Carolina plus 8.5.
Like it, Matt. Like it. My only hesitation is that Atlanta's defense has really come around in the past few games. I know that, they just came off a high scoring game with Washington, but that's just a high functioning offense. But still, yeah, love the element of scoreboard watching. Love it. Feel like, crap. Tampa's
Yeah, how do you come out motivated if you see Tampa's up 20 points?
and they can't sneak
Like,
in the playoffs at all,
no
right?
other way. There's no other way.
Yeah, they're boned. They're boned. I love it.
That's just a
I
deflating,
kind of love this pick. Uh,
deflating.
yeah. All right, cool. My third like here, going back to our incentive conversation, Geno Smith has a lot of them, and I am taking the side of the Seattle Seahawks this week, minus 6.5 in LA to take on the backup Rams. Jimmy Garoppolo going to be making his or getting his first snaps of the entire season, going up against what I think is going to be a full caliber Seahawks team. They have nothing to play for but pride. But Geno Smith, on the other hand, he has $2 million incentives each coming up here. He has 186 yards away from one threshold to get 2 mil. He needs a completion percentage of just above 70% at 70.2%. He's at 69.76% in terms of completion. So he needs that for another 2 mil. And he is 1 win away from 10 wins, which will get him $2 million each. So do the math. It's $6 million, Matt, he can earn
Yeah,
on Sunday.
pretty good Sunday.
Yeah, so you can bet your ass he's going to be not he's going to be playing out of his mind, I think. Not only for the incentives but also for his future in Seattle. Sneaky quarterback team this offseason, Matt, I think. So I think he's potentially playing for his job here in what could be a shakeup at quarterback in Seattle. But who knows? Who knows? Because he's been very inconsistent this year. I mean, look at what just happened in Chicago. Jesus Christ, that was one of the worst Thursday night football games this year.
Yeah, ugly.
Oh, that was brutal, brutal. Love the fact they're coming off of extended rest, by the way. So, yeah, give me Seattle 6.5 here. Nothing to play for except pride and $6 million for Geno Smith there.
Yeah, you said it. Rams sitting guys. We knew McVay would do it. I'd hate to tell you what I have in a ticket in pocket. I have a Seattle minus 2.5 from Sunday night that I bet.
Wow, wow.
Because McVay's been notorious. He does it.
Yeah,
McVay's one of these guys that he doesn't care. They could be the 3 seed versus the 4 seed. He doesn't care.
Just
Like
sit everybody.
wins and they lose, he's like, I'm in. I'll play whoever. I think that's insane because you're gonna have to play the loser of the Detroit Minnesota game. That said, you think rest is more important to your guys? You believe in that? They do it in the preseason. They do it every year when they have a clinched playoff spot. Unless they're playing for a division title, he rests guys. So I took the shot there, and I still like it at 6.5. I think this is, I didn't want to give it out as a show play when it moved 4 points, but there's a reason it moved 4 points, and that's with, Garoppolo and the starters are going to be sitting. So yeah, lean Seahawks with you. They have a lot to play for outside of like nothing to play for, like from an incentive side of things. That with Gino, he's going to want to play, and the guys are going to play for him.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Not to mention that's a defensive oriented team too. So I think they're going to shut down Garoppolo and the Rams backups and Blake Corms of the world. Um, all right, Matt, your third like here. This was a near like for me. I'll say that.
This line's gotten out of hand to me. So we're taking it. Another dog here, third straight dog in a chalk-filled NFL season. Give me Kansas City plus 10.5. I understand Denver has a playoff spot winning it in scenario. I understand we're getting Carson Wentz and not Patrick Mahomes. I understand all of it. But you have a 53-man roster. So this is the other thing I want to talk about this week. When you hear like starters are sitting, like there are still guys playing. Like, yes, the Chris Jones of the world, the Patrick Mahomes, they're not playing. But
Travis Kelsey, right?
you're talking about one of the deeper rosters in the NFL. The one concern is their offensive line, which is not great with Mahomes back there. I have to think that Andy Reid will have a play or plan for that. Andy Reid's been in this situation many times now, and where he doesn't have to play Patrick Mahomes in week 18 or 17 before it was the 18-week schedule. And they do just fine in this spot. Now I'm getting double digits in a game that, hey, there's a couple of things that concern me early on when I was thinking about how that Cincinnati Pittsburgh game ends up falling out.
Yeah,
Cincinnati wins it. Do the Chiefs want to kind of lay down and make sure that they keep Joe Burrow out because they know they can beat Denver? But don't forget that Denver, it took a blocked field goal for them to beat Denver at Arrowhead the first time around. So I don't think you're going to get that scenario. Plus, if Joe Burrow gets in, he's going to go to Buffalo, and then you get one of those two right away. So not the worst thing if that happens either. I just think you're going to get effort from the Chiefs. They're not going to lay down and just want this game to end. This is what the Chiefs do. They play hard with their backups. They're a deep team. You'll still see good players in there. You'll have the guys like DeAndre Hopkins playing. You'll have a running back and like a Kareem Hunt that'll be mixed in. They probably won't play Pacheco, I would assume.
probably won't play. Yeah, but like
Maybe
Carson Steele, he'll have
Carson
fresh
Steele,
legs.
like whatever. They'll have a guy that can run the ball, and I just think you're going to get a lower scoring game here. This is a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix who, listen, has been great as a favorite this year, and played well, but 10.5 points, that's too many for me. I know they're at home with a playoff spot on the line. I think this game stays within double digits. I'll say that. So it'd be a single
Yeah,
digit game here. Denver probably wins it. But I think this one's going to be closer than you think. And if it comes down to a fourth quarter where the Chiefs have an opportunity to win, I would not be stunned at all. You're still talking about the Kansas City Chiefs here, regardless if it's not Mahomes, not Kelsey, not Pacheco, Chris Jones, those guys. But you'll have enough talent on that field
yeah.
to keep this within 10.5. So give me the Chiefs.
Yeah, Andy Reid's gonna get his backups ready. Like he's gonna like be like, hey, listen, we get the playoffs here, next man up mentality. You need to be ready for the playoffs just in case. Like they're gonna be ready to go. And
They won outright in this spot last year. Same exact spot they won outright.
hmm,
So just
yeah,
just
I'll say this for you listeners out there. The only reason why I did not officially have this as my like is because every time I've backed Kansas City this year, they fucked me.
you're betting a minus 10.5, not plus.
But so you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Juju or whatever vibe. I don't know. Karma, betting karma is going it like it makes all the sense in the world for this to hit because I'm not betting them. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
It's
there you go.
hard. It works in my head. It just makes all the sense in the world and why Kansas City would win because I'm not backing. That's
Well, I
why.
appreciate you not backing them in that
You're,
case then.
you're welcome, Matt. You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Our final batch of likes here. is a
Oh yeah, look at this.
double like here, Matt. And this was close to a best bet for me. We are backing the Minnesota Vikings at +3 in Detroit to win the NFC North. Take it away, Matt.
For me, it's simple. I'm getting three. It's too much value. At 2.5, I probably lean the Lions. And I'm not even gonna lie at that. So like we're talking, it's close here, but this value at three is too much. Actually, 2.5 is a no play. I make the game two. I'm getting three. Take
See,
this.
I'm okay with 2.5. I think the Vikings flat out win this.
Yeah, I think the Lions. I mean, I do think the Viking. I mean, they have a great shot at winning this game. Um, uh, the Lions are so banged up that
Right.
like, and here's the thing with Dan Campbell. You're already so banged up. You're very lucky how the way you played that Monday night game. With that game meaning absolutely nothing, he goes and trots his starters out, and they respect him. That's what he believes in. I respect that, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's a crazy move. Now you're coming off a short week where like all you gave a shit about was revenging the NFC championship game and your guys wanted to play and get that win. That's
That's why
crazy talk. You're
that's
thinking
why I
about
backed
last
them.
year, not this year. And that's the most important thing is this year because you have a chance to be the one seed and get a bye that your team desperately needs. They've talked about David Montgomery potentially getting back. They've talked about getting some other key guys potentially back if they get deep enough into the playoffs, and you are playing all your starters against the Niners in a game that really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And ended up being was great for the fans watching. It was a great football game.
Sure.
Back and forth, a lot of scoring, a lot of fun. But for the Lions, like now you got to play Minnesota in a short week after you just gave all that effort on Monday Night Football against the Vikings team who is way better coached. And I'm talking Kevin O'Connell to Dan Campbell. Like Kevin O'Connell, we have to give he is not getting enough love. Like this Vikings team's not getting enough love. It took us, I mean, a while to come around on him, just like everybody else. But like look, I've been on the last couple weeks and it's been profitable to me. Was on them on the Packers last week. They won that game. They just keep winning football games. At the end of the day, this is a great football team. Now, if you want to start talking about are they legitimate Super Bowl contenders or not, I think we're to the point where we have to start saying like, yeah, I think they are. And
Mm.
like, if they get the one seed, you got to go through Minnesota. Man, not a fun place to go. So I'm just going to say this. I think we're going to get a very close football game on Sunday night. This point total opened up at 58.5. I don't recall as a point spread in the NFL being that high. I know there was one in like
I
2021.
didn't realize that.
That was
Wow.
Kansas City and Tennessee was at like a 59 in 2021, I
Yeah,
believe.
it's a 56.5 now.
It came down. They took some under money. There's going to be points in this football game. I will say I don't want any part of the Detroit Lions and unders right now because their offense is so damn good and their defense is so damn bad that like I don't know how they're stopping Minnesota. And I can tell you this: if Minnesota can get a few stops, which I think they can, um, I'm taking the dog here. I'm taking the Vikings. I do think they win the game too, Tuck. I wouldn't bet it though if it was -2 or less, is my point. Get the key number three. There's plenty of threes. And if you can't see a three at anything that you can bet, wait. You can wait on this game because when the public gets involved, I promise you it's gonna be you'll see a three at some point in the week. I will be stunned. Absolutely stunned if
No,
you see a three.
I mean, I see a 3 right now, right?
Well, I'm saying right now there are threes, but I'm saying if it does somehow go back down or whatnot.
Sure.
When
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
get to three, I'm going to tell you right now, the professional betters, the sharp side is Minnesota here. There's no question about it. Like
Yeah.
Detroit's
No,
going to be a public play.
Minnesota's legit. They're absolutely legit. Detroit's coming off short rest on, like you said, Matt, going balls to the walls in San Francisco for no fucking reason besides pride. Which, part of you respects the
Yeah.
rah-rah mentality of Dan Campbell, but kind of stupid when you look at it now. But I knew that was going to happen. That's why I picked the Lions last week. They were going to have this like, uh, let's take their business and get our vengeance for the NFC Championship game last year. I knew that was going to happen. That's why I picked the Lions last week. Um, Vikings are a better football team. They're a better football team at this point in time. Lions, like you said, Matt, too banged up. I just think that they're more built for a longer postseason run than Detroit is. And Vikings narrowly lost their first matchup 31-29 earlier this year. So I think they're going to try and, split the season series there.
When the Lions were healthy. Like
And the
to
Lions were
win a
healthy.
game
Exactly.
when
Yeah.
the Lions were healthy. There's too many injuries now.
Yeah. It doesn't really, I don't know what Aaron Jones' status is. I know he kind of had a quad issue in the
Read
fourth
yesterday he
quarter
was
last week.
trending in the right direction. I
He's
mean,
going to play. Yeah. He's going to play.
not unless he's unless he
But even so, if he's limited in any capacity, like they still have a decent rotation in that backfield. With Ty Chandler and Cam Akers actually looks okay now. Yeah, TJ Hawkinson going against his old team. I like that element too. Yeah, I think the Vikings win the NFC North in this game.
oh he's playing belly. He had a quad contusion.
I'm fine with 2.5. That's just me. That's just me. I'm not the better though.
Here's the thing. I just think that like if you're taking the Vikings and you
No,
like
I am.
value,
Right.
3 is really a key
I'm,
because I mean 3 for one is the most land on number. But
of course.
second thing, I don't see a situation where if you waited it out, you don't have access to a 3, which you do if you're in mass, and in a couple of very premier books, there are 3s out there. So you have access to a 3. But if it goes back to 2.5, wait, you'll get the 3.
And this total does feel similar to the Bills Lions matchup a few weeks back, and that was 54.5, I remember, and this is 56.5. I know you've seen some under money come in, and I know that Flores is a defensive oriented coach. Really good job with the Vikings defense this year, but you know, I would still strongly lean over in this one. This is shootout all over it. Sunday night primetime television. It's going to be a classic game, I think, from the offensive standpoint. So there you go. There are likes. All right, Matt, let's get to the rest here, and really interested to get your thoughts on this Bengals and Steelers game, because a consistent theme for us this year has been taking the Steelers as home dogs, yet both of us not backing the Steelers this week. How do you think this turns out, Matt? Which direction are you leaning in? Because my gut says something went wrong with the Steelers, and it's the Bengals' last ditch hope for the playoffs here, and I would lean -2 for the Bengals.
Yeah, so I'm waiting. I'm waiting and hoping that another 3 pops. They missed the 3 early in the week, and I will be on the Steelers +3. Here's the thing about the Steelers. We've watched them totally melt down the last 3 weeks. They played 3 games in 11 days against the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Chiefs. That is murderer's row from the scheduling from the NFL scheduling spots. Now you're playing a team that, let's face it, their defense still sucks, and you already beat them in Cincinnati just over a month ago. So I understand that Joe Burrow's playing out of his mind, and I understand that Cincinnati needs this game. Well, don't be fooled, because if you're the Steelers, you need this game too. Not only have you lost 3 in a row, and you're going to watch the Ravens clinch the AFC North right before you play. So don't fall for this. The Steelers have nothing to play for. They're going to lay down. They do have everything to play for. They need to get right before the playoffs. And also, they want that 5 seed. That 5 seed in the AFC makes me go to Houston, or am I going to Baltimore? Like, if that's the scenario here. So if the Steelers don't win and the Chargers do win, that 5 seed goes to the Chargers in that scenario. So this game matters. The Steelers would much rather go to Houston than they want to go to Baltimore next week. Don't believe anything else that you hear from the Steelers will lay down or anything else. There's people out there talking on podcasts. This game means nothing for the Steelers. They're idiots. I'm telling you right now, this game means a lot to Mike Tomlin and that Steelers team for those 2 reasons. They got to get right. So I'm waiting for a 3 tuck. I think the public's going to be all over Cincinnati.
That's true. That's a fact. Yep.
And I'm waiting for the 3. So that's my play on that game. I will say, if it even this is a good teaser spot too for the Steelers. Get them up. If it doesn't get to 3, tease them up to 8.5. If it's a 2.5, tease them to 8. Like, this is a 1 possession game here. So for me, I would absolutely put the Steelers in a teaser, and pair that with someone like a New England, maybe a Minnesota, where you can get 8.5 if the threes go right. Like those are, and the key with teasers is you try to tease like the Wong teaser method is the way to tease games, and that's going through the key numbers of 3 and 7. So if it's below 3, you want to tease it. If it gets to 3, just take the 3. Like that's the value. It's a numbers game. So when you start to, if you don't want to take it to plus 2.5, tease them to 8.5. Whereas if it gets to 3, just bet the team because the value there is on the team themselves. You've teased to 9, like you're not getting through that key number of 3. You have the key number of 3 in hand, so you take that 3. So that's my play. So if the
Yeah.
Steelers, my point is, if the Steelers go back to plus 3, I will take the Steelers. If it's 2.5, I will tease them up to 8.5 with somebody else.
I'm right there with you. If the Steelers are going to 3, I'm on them. I'm on them with you.
Yep,
Absolutely.
I want that field goal.
Um, yeah, yeah, definitely. This one was a near like for me, but I stayed away from it just because of I love this team, Tampa, but
Mhm.
the Saints have been feisty this year in weird moments. And it wouldn't shock me if they kept this within 13 and a half. So I stayed away with it. But Tampa minus 13 and a half point to own this one, 43 and a half, Matt.
It's a game where I would love to be on the Saints, love, but I don't know. This is what I was talking about very early in the show when I was setting it up for before we started picking. Like this Tampa team, there's a lot of pressure on them, and it's more so they have the division in hand. These are the teams I love to fade. This number has everything baked into it. It's large. It went up to 14 and a half. I would have loved to have had that, but it comes under back down to 13 and a half across the board. I think it probably closes around 14. That said, I can't do it with the Saints.
No,
They just have
they're
no
bad.
playmakers. They have no playmakers. Their defense is old. Their best player is Cam Jordan somehow still. They just I don't know. We've seen some terrible performance. I tried with the Saints last week. I bet them against the Raiders at home, and they couldn't get the job done there.
Yeah.
I can't go against. I love this Tampa team too. Their offense, they're a fun team, and the way the Baker's clicking, the only way Tampa doesn't cover this number is if Baker has a bad Baker game. And I just don't see it in this spot. So I actually lean Tampa here with the points in a
Correct me,
scenario I usually don't.
correct me if I'm wrong, but Saints could be the biggest spoiler here on week 18, right?
I'm in the Chiefs, yeah. But from a point spread style, yeah.
Or just, boning Tampa. Like I don't think the Saints are even gonna beat Tampa, but I'm just saying from like if you look back at this week, right, and the Saints beat Tampa, that would be like one of the top stories of the year in terms
Oh
of
yeah, Tampa
spoiling
can't
things.
get in unless they
Right.
they have to win
Right.
the division. That's their path.
So I'm
So
just saying they're the number one spoiler contender for this week.
yep, totally.
Yeah. Bears and Packers, cold one on deck in Lambeau Field. Packers favored by 10 here. Point total on this one is 41. And not sure if there's really any incentive, correct me if I'm wrong, for the Packers to roll out their starters for all 4 quarters here. So it's a stay away from me.
There's incentive. It's not to go to Philadelphia. Here's another one that like this is the 6th seed on the line between them and Washington. So
Okay. Okay.
incentive is they need a Washington loss and they need to win to get that 6th seed. So another scoreboard watching type game here. They need a little help. They lose. If they lose or they don't or the Washington Commanders win, they're going to Philly next week, and that's not a game that's a 2-7 matchup. So if I'm the Packers, I'd much rather play Tampa or the Rams, however that 3 seed ends up falling, which with a Tampa win and a Rams loss would go to Tampa. If the Rams
So
win, they're the 3. So a lot, I told you a lot going on with seeds, but like I'd much rather be playing that Tampa Rams. I'd rather go there than I would Philadelphia right now. That's so
so what's your hesitation on backing the Packers this week?
a lot of points. And it's another scenario where sort of like that Atlanta play, I think there's a lot of potential scoreboard watching. And if you see Washington laying one to Dallas, um, I don't think that you're going to be super motivated at that point to keep everybody in. Yes, it's the Bears, but um, I don't have any motivation to bet the Bears at all right now. I did last Thursday, and it paid off in the ugliest cover I've ever had with the Bears +5 on Thursday Night Football. But um, man, they're a tough watch right now. I think they come at the one thing about Chicago is they're playing Green Bay. They want to beat the Packers, and I don't think they do, but you'll get some effort there. So it's just a stay away. There's just too many
Yeah.
scenarios in the game that I want to stay away from at 10.
Speaking of Philly, they're favored by 3 here. Point total on this one is 37.5. And Nick Sirianni, I think, is a big piece of shit because of what he did to Saquon Barkley this week.
Sitting them?
Yes. Giant piece of shit. Saquon's 101 yards away. He can do that in the first quarter. Not even exaggerating, versus his old team, mind you. Like, this isn't some rinky dink record, right? Like, the running back has gone away, but has really made a resurgence this year, and it's led by Saquon Barkley. To sit him against his old team, who let him go in free agency, to break a near impossible record with Eric Dickerson's rushing record of in 1989, correct?
Mm.
That's just a shitty move, man. I'm sorry. Like, Saquon's dad was pissed. Pissed, it sounded like. And Saquon's being a good soldier about it. He's going about it. He's like, yeah, what's in the best interest of the team, given that sort of paraphrase or, attitude towards Sirianni's decision. But, like, Saquon could do this easily so early. Like, I don't get it. And guess what? Like, if he doesn't get it done in the first half, then Sirianni's like, listen, like, I'm not going to let you carry the ball 28 times, right before the playoffs. Like, it's not going to happen. But, like, how many times have we seen Saquon bust one out this year? Like, multiple times for like 50 plus yards. Please. He should absolutely be going after this record. And Sirianni's a dope for not letting him do it.
My guess, and I'm not a Nick Sirianni fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think this was just a Nick Sirianni decision. This has to be an organization, including Saquon, decision. You have to feel that way if they're doing this because
Didn't sound like Saquon was thrilled about it.
they probably asked him and took his opinion anyways into it. But like, if you're the Eagles, you have one goal, and that's to win the Super Bowl. And right now, I still think they're the best team in football. So I'm going to say that. Um, Now, that said, it sucks for Saquon, but eyes on the prize here. And like I get it. We've seen too many Saquon injuries for me to risk.
True.
Let's say they play him and he gets hurt. They will get killed. They are the best team in football right now. Like most complete offense, defensive, health-wise, they are. If they go out and trot him out for a record and they go down, the
Yeah,
flip
but
side of
it's
that
like
is too much. I get it. I get it.
record, man.
We can't kill Dan Campbell on one hand for doing what he did, and then also kill Sirianni,
What did Dan Campbell do?
like starting all the guys in a meaningless week
Well,
16
that's
game.
different. That's like a team philosophy thing. And this is like, I know it's an individual award, but this is like a rare feat. Very
Yeah,
rare, especially in today's NFL.
I get it, but I look at it like this. He did this in less games, so like whatever.
Dickerson did.
Yeah. So like there's
Okay,
always like,
fair.
oh, there's an asterisk, 17 game season now. I did it in the 60.
Okay,
Like,
man.
I don't know. I'm not defending Sirianni in any way. If that decision's my decision, pout all you want, pal.
Yeah.
I
I,
need you for the playoffs. You're like you took
I
this
just root
team
for
to a new
fun.
level.
I just
I,
root for fun.
I want to see it. Believe me, I think if they played him the whole game, he'd probably put up 300 yards against.
Yeah, this isn't like 185 yards away, like in
Yeah.
some stupid.
Yeah.
It's 101 yards. Like, that's very doable.
Yeah. They would get just
Yeah, that is
killed.
true. It's fair. They would get annihilated. Absolutely fair.
I lean the Eagles in this game, by the way. The
With that,
defense is still going to. I lean the Eagles. The Giants got their Super Bowl win last week. I look for Neighbors to have a
Eagles.
big game with the receptions, as I said before. From a prop side, I'm looking at his overs. And then, other than that, I like the Eagles to kind of win a low scoring game here.
Did you have a side on the Texans and Titans? I had a like in that one with the total. Did you have any lean in that direction? -1.5 Titans are favored.
Yes. No, I will say the Titans are the official worst team in NFL history ATS against the spread, 2-14. They cannot. The worst the worst team prior to them was a 3-13 team. So even if they do cover their 3-14, clinch the worst all time, I'm staying away from them.
Yeah.
They're a
Uh,
bad.
Jaguars on the road in Indy to take on the Colts. No update yet on Anthony Richardson. I doubt he would play, but the Colts are favored by 5. Point total on this one is 44. Jags were close, like for me. I couldn't get there though. What about you, Matt?
I just have to think that Indianapolis team is just destroyed after losing on the Giants and knocking themselves out of the playoffs with that loss. I don't know how they come back and show up. I lean the Jags because of it, but Indy's played better on the road, so if they do show up, I don't want any part of this. So no play for me.
Dolphins and Jets, what very well could be Aaron Rodgers' final NFL game as a quarterback for his career. He could be hanging up after the season. Jets are home dogs by 1 point. Point total on this one is 39, and Miami does still have a chance at the playoffs. Very outside chance of that. Still would lean Miami here.
That would be worst case scenario. I don't want this Dolphins team in the playoffs. A waste of a spot. They'll get buried by
Oh
Buffalo.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
the worst case scenario is Denver losing this week and Miami winning because Miami has the tiebreaker over the Bengals. So that would be worst case scenario. I'm rooting for the Jets, as sickening as that is, just in case the Chiefs pull out a win.
So
No,
since he needs both the Broncos and the Dolphins to lose,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
I I
That's
don't know what if this Jets team though is. I mean, do you see Sauce Gardner? Hilarious on Instagram. Someone saying like, "Oh, tell I forget who the player was, but they're like, "Oh, tell him to come to the Jets," and he replied to the comment, goes, "I will absolutely not tell him to come to the Jets." Like that team's just a disaster.
Are you hearing something? Some
What
broads
is?
talking. Did you hear that?
Did hear that? What was that? Did it?
Chat?
It's a show hacked.
I don't know. I heard some robot chick talking there.
Little Siri. Did you hit the Siri button?
Is this something going on your end?
Maybe I do have a Siri, but my arms are crossed. I don't. I'm not touching anything.
It did sound like Siri, that whore.
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know. If I did something, I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right.
Um,
Your Niners, Matt, on
yep.
the road in Arizona. Arizona favored by 4 here, 42.5. Both teams absolutely nothing to play for aside from Kyler Murray's incentive that you mentioned earlier. Weird line. Just a weird line.
Yeah, I actually lean the Niners. I don't know who's going to play for them, but Josh Dobbs is, and look, I like Josh Dobbs. In fact, if Josh Dobbs started for them, I think it would have been a different story when Brock Purdy was hurt. But we had to sit through Brandon Allen games, which I'll be honest with you, I was hoping he would say Brandon Allen and Arizona would certainly be on my card. Um, it's a gross line. There's not a lot to play for. I don't think you're going to see all the Niners suit up anyways. I mean, it's banged up as they've been. I think they sit their stars. Like I read the Kittle, Bosa weren't practicing yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of those guys don't even play in this game. There's no reason to. And look, they put in a max effort Monday night for what they have left on that team. They hung with the Lions. What do you got now? Like Arizona, though, similar. They gave them all their effort in that Rams game, but it's just a game to stay away from, to be honest.
All right, Matt. It's time for our best bets.
Yay.
And I'll get mine out of the way first and quickly because no one cares at this point in time. Give me the Chargers to cover against the Raiders, -4.5 here. Actually, seen some money coming in on the Raiders here. This was at 5 earlier, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I just don't see the Raiders winning 3 in a row. Is that accurate?
Yep,
Let me pull up the yeah.
it is because I
You
bet
really see
against.
the Raiders closing out the year winning 3 in a row versus the Chargers? I don't. I don't at all. And I know that the Chargers are pretty, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like Chargers don't really have any movement in terms of playoff seeding, or they do. Help me
They
out.
could, if the Steelers lose, they can get that 5 seed, which is huge.
Okay. Okay. But unfortunately, the Steelers game's on Saturday night. So let's say that the Steelers.
That's
So,
a good thing.
oh,
It's
it's
a
a good thing. So if the Steelers win, what happens then
The
with the
game is
Chargers?
less relevant for the Chargers, but Harbaugh already said he's playing his guys. He played. That's how he.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I heard that earlier that Harbaugh is like, no, we're full on playing our guys. So I'm just gonna back that. Like it's a new era in with the Chargers, and I think they would just be sending the wrong message against a divisional opponent, even if it is the shitbag Raiders, to just lay down in week 18. Like I think that Harbaugh wants to get all of his starters ready to go. You still got to get J.K. Dobbins up and running here. Looked okay versus New England last week, but I think we mentioned the incentive thing earlier, so you know, I just I don't see Harbaugh laying down against the Raiders. I think he's going to go in there, take care of business, and go into the playoffs hot. And they've been rolling lately. Last week versus the Patriots, and then week before that versus the Broncos. Nice win there. Comeback win with the whole fair catch thing. Like they're hot right now. They're absolutely hot right now. I think they would be silly to rest anybody heading into the playoffs. So give me the Chargers -4.5. Again, I have no idea why there's money coming in the Raiders right now. No idea why.
I actually leaned the Raiders. Well, I will say this: I leaned the Raiders when it was 6, and I'm not there now. But like, I lean the Raiders because I've had 3 losses in the last 2 weeks on the show, and 2 of them are the Raiders. Fade them. So I'm done with that for one. They're playing hard. That's why you're getting like first of all, 6 and 4 are 2 different numbers. You give them 4.5. That's fine. Like this is a total derivative play for me. If the
Mhm.
Steelers lose, I the Chargers will be like a best bet type bet for me, but I can't get there right now because I think that game will matter so much to them at that point. I'm telling you, like there are spots to play teams and spots to not, and I know the seeding doesn't matter as much, but I would really like the Chargers if the Steelers. I mean, I shouldn't say best bet. It would if I knew the Steelers lost right now,
Mhm.
the Chargers would be on my card, and that,
So what you're saying is if you like the Steelers Saturday night, then this is a bad bet.
no, because the Harbaugh did say he's playing his guys. I mean, there's reason to think the Chargers should beat the
I,
4
dude,
points. They
I'm
beat
just
the Pats last week by 33, and I know
right.
the Pats aren't good, but
Yeah.
like neither is Vegas. The thing with Vegas is they've got a coach coaching for his job that looked like he was going to get fired 4 weeks ago, but now he's at least making it a decision they have to make, which was outside of just an auto fire. Aiden O'Connell's played pretty well.
He
I've
has.
been shitting on him, but he does get the ball to his guys. Like,
No, he's been decent.
that's why you've seen some money come in on the Raiders. It's a points thing. They're not saying that the Raiders are going to win the game, but when you get 6, there's value there. The Steelers lose. I love this spot for the Chargers. If they win, I think it's fine. I'm just not playing it. That's all. I have no play in the game. If
I
this
mean, I'll tell you this, I my confidence is extremely low on this pick. I'll say that.
Well, it's week 18. You got to try to feed the we're battling a lot of like you're trying to play motivational trends. Historically, I said it. I fade them because I think they're overrated. So like that part of it would support your Chargers pick
This
regardless.
it ultimately just comes down to Harbaugh getting his guys ready. And I think he takes care of business. And that's why I made this pick. It's as simple
I
as that.
I will say from a watchable so from an like if I'm watching the games, if you're get like I always like a good Steelers Ravens game, and I think that Steelers loss a lot of it came down to Joey Porter not playing in that game and get hurt. They were 17-17 and he left the game. They couldn't stop them.
Yeah.
Chargers Ravens rematch would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not against the Steelers Ravens game, but it's who beats the Texans, I guess the question. That I feel like is my best bet next week
All
with
right.
the Steelers or the Chargers. Whoever.
Enough about my pick, Matt. Let's get to the one that everybody really cares about. And that would be your best bet of the week, Matt. And is this back-to-back backings of this one particular team, Matt? Is that accurate?
There is, buddy. My one favorite that I'm playing this week is the Washington Commanders. And This is a team that I like this for a couple of different reasons. One, let's start with Dallas. Um, yes, they're going to Dallas. Dallas already beat the Commanders this season in that wild, it was like 6-3 going into the fourth and ended up with the touchdown pass to McLaurin for like 80 yards and they returned the kick. It was like a bananas fourth quarter in that game. And what I saw from Dallas last week was enough to know that I'm against them without CD Lamb. Like that team was as bad as it gets without CD. They're a bad home team as it is. And CD not being on the field is just so huge. They just have a bunch of no names on offense. The comments from Micah Parsons after the game were like, Jesus, like this team's already booking trips to Cancun. Like they know it. They just got to get through this. On the flip side, I already mentioned when we talked about the Packers game, there is a lot of like value in the Commanders putting in a max effort and winning this football game because they do not want to go to Philadelphia. Um, next week. They just don't. Again, you want to play Tampa or the Rams. That is the path for the Commanders. That's a winnable game for them. They will have to go to war for a third time against Philly, and I know they came back and beat Philly a couple of weeks ago, but that hurts. They jumped out early. Hurts had the concussion. Pickett played like shit. Jaden Daniels turned it on. Philly's just not a team you want to go play in round one in Philadelphia. They control their own destiny here. I think they're going into Dallas, revenge spot from the earlier loss to them. And also, I think they absolutely blow doors in this game. I mean, like 14 plus. If there's one spot on the card that I'm backing a team, it's with Jaden Daniels and this Washington Commanders team. I just think they're just going to full effort absolutely bury this lifeless Dallas team who wants to just be nowhere near a football field and on an island that's warm. Uh,
Well,
and
let me ask you this, Matt. Is there any risk to Washington resting anybody?
no, they're not resting anybody. They already said
Why
they're playing
not?
their guys because they don't want to go to Philly. You don't want to lose that game because if the Packers beat the Bears and the Commanders lose, they're going to Philly, and that's not. They control their own destiny. You just win and you go play Tampa or the Rams. That is a spot where you put in a max effort. You need to win the game. You don't want to play Philly. And these teams know. These teams know that the difference between playing Detroit and Minnesota or Philly, those are the teams you want to like back. They don't want to go there. That's not.
Right.
You would much rather know, like, if you see the Rams have played like shit the last month and a half. I mean, like, I mean, they're winning games. Oh, I shouldn't say like shit, but like they're winning gross games. And like, fine, they beat the Jets. They squeaked out an ugly game against the Jets. They
Yeah.
played pretty shitty in Arizona against Arizona last week. Like, now they're sitting guys this week. Like, if they somehow win that game and get the 3 seed, that's where I want to go is LA. Tampa is going to score and play points, but like, would you rather play Tampa and that defense, or would you rather go to Philly and play that defense? Like, to me, uh, this has blowout written all over it. I really, truly, maybe it's square. I don't care. I think Washington absolutely
Well,
smashes Dallas on
I'm
Sunday.
seeing it's up to 5.5 right now.
Some spots you get it's this game is all over the place. It's 4 in some spots, which now is moved. So let me take a look at this. 4.5. There's still a couple 4.5s out there, plenty available. Um,
It's pretty wild to me that Dallas is 7-9, considering how they started off the year.
well, I did say last week one of the things that I was surprised. By the way, I had a 10 and plus 10.5 with Dallas last week before Jalen Hurts got ruled out because I heard that he was going to be out. And I'm like, I love this. Then they took away, then they said CD's not playing. I'm like, all right, well, still 10.5 is a nice number. What closed at like 7. Cool CLV I had there, a closing line value. They got their dicks blown off. So thank God it wasn't a show play, but holy hell.
Yeah.
So Dallas, I saw enough in that game to see what they look like without CD. I mean, Kenny Pickett and the boys just lit them up. Tanner McKee or McCoy, whoever the fuck was
Yeah, no.
quarterback for the Eagles in there. I'm done with Dallas. Their trips are booked for vacation, and Washington's booked to go to Tampa for the Rams. Give me the Commanders -4.5. Best bet. I
Nah,
like it. By the way, if this does keep going up, because I am seeing some market moves here, there's still 4.5s available, so we're going with that. But I can tell you this sincerely. I don't care if 6.5 is the stop point. Like get under 7. You shouldn't need to go that high, but just in case, just saying it as if we're starting to see some
all
stuff.
right. Not to put you on the spot here or anything, Matt, but is there any line you're looking at for the first round of the playoffs that we could place today to get a leg up on everybody? Or is there really nothing there at all? Like whether it's a futures bet or I don't know if you can make like a first round exit bet or something like that. Is there anything out there that we could maybe take a look at?
Um, Not really. Like
Really?
I've played a couple things. Preseason, I played Philly to win the Super Bowl. I'm sticking with that. I love the way that
I like Philly too.
trended. I made a play with the Packers versus the Bills. I'm kind of down on the Bills though.
Well, let me ask you
We're
this.
taking a
Check
shot.
five check for Super Bowl. Uh I still have the Eagles coming out of the NFC. My number two might be the Packers.
I was finding some value in Green Bay. I think that's a team that can go and beat the Lions, beat the Vikings. I think it's a nightmare matchup against the Eagles, but I'll say they played in week 1 in Brazil and they took it to them, and it was a high scoring game. Both teams have been much better defensively. That will be an entirely different football game. That would be a hell of a game. If we do end up with Green Bay and Philly in week 1 of the postseason, though, my God, what a game that's going to be.
Rematch of week one, right? In Brazil.
Yeah. I'll say this. Do I think they're good enough to win a Super Bowl? I'm not sure. I took a shot with them because of the odds, but I will say, what are their current odds? I don't have it up in front of me. You do, right? You said?
I don't have it in front of me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Last
thought
I
you said
checked,
you
it's
did.
15-1, I think.
I will say, if it ends up being Philly, if it ends up being Philly versus Green Bay, I will probably hedge my Philly bet with a Packers future if
Okay.
it stays on that. Because I have Philly plus like 13, 1400. I forget exactly what the ticket is. But so I would just root for the winner of that game. I do think it will be Philly, but I'm still happy to.
Yeah. I'm still not like I know we were like loving the Vikings and everything earlier, but in terms of their playoff run, like I'm still not there with them yet. Like I still can't believe
Because
that
it's the
they're
Vikings. It's the
yeah,
same thing. Like
yeah,
it's
in their
Buffalo of the
DNA.
NFC. It's Buffalo of the NFC. Until you do it, it's tough. I know a lot of people who love the Ravens right now. Again, until Lamar does it, I,
Yeah.
you know, it's disgusting talk, and I hate myself, but
What?
I almost just want to throw some cash down on the Chiefs. Like,
I think it's yeah, man.
they
I do.
just, this is a team that I'm done betting against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. So if you listen over the next few weeks, you're
Yeah.
going to hear me. I'm probably backing the Chiefs. Depends on the number, but like, if they start coming in around under 3 or as fair,
Yeah.
I'm
So
against them.
I at the beginning of the season I picked Philly and Kansas City rematch, and I'm sticking to that. So in the AFC, I have the Chiefs, and probably my number two. I want to say Baltimore, but I'm going to say the Chargers.
Okay. Okay.
Who would be
Chargers, huh?
who would be your number two?
I will say that I'm out anyways. My preseason was Philly versus Cincinnati. So how's that looking? But so why don't you get there?
Like the Bills, I feel like are still going to be the Bills, and then the Ravens, like you said, they still have to prove it with Lamar. And I just think that Harbaugh's such a boss. Like I don't see a first round exit from the Chargers this year. I don't.
You don't.
No.
That Kansas City Chargers game in round 2, assuming the Bills and Ravens are playing the 2-3, like that is a ball game.
Yeah.
If we do,
Harbaugh and Reed. Oh man.
like if we get that Chargers Texans game and
Oh,
then you get the Ravens Steelers, there's things to root for. They give me a Harbaugh, Andy Reid.
yeah.
Both of those games were
Get the
awesome.
Harbaugh Bowl. Give me that. Give me that at
That
some
would
point.
be good too. That could be round 1. If the Steelers win, you get a Harbaugh Bowl.
Ooh, yeah.
We had one on Monday Night Football, but this
Right.
different stakes.
Yeah.
Playoff,
If
playoff.
we see the Harbaugh Bowl in the first matchup, I'm back on the Chargers.
There's a lot of games next week that potential, like we could have an awesome slate of football. I mean, the teams that are in, the one thing about the NFL this year, it's been a bit chalky, but like the terrible teams suck. The top tier teams are it's fun. I mean, if Denver gets in, like sure, I kind of expect, but they've been sneaky competitive. I'd expect the Bills to blow doors though against them in that spot. But other than that, but the Packers and the Commanders are the 6 and 7 seed in the NFC. Like that's insane. And
Crazy.
then you have the loser of the Lions Vikings, the 5 seed. So you're getting teams that are like this is
Yeah.
gonna be a fun playoff. Like that, there's good teams in this postseason. So and it is wide open as it's been.
My first round exit candidates are the Texans and the Vikings.
Texans, you couldn't pay me enough money. I don't even need a line.
They're
Like I'm not
they're
gonna be on the
so owned.
Texans.
They're
I
so,
would be on the Steelers or Chargers. Best bet probably next week. I just get I
I would
can't.
say I would say first round exits, Texans, Steelers, or Rams and Vikings, I'd say.
What if the Texans play the Steelers? Then what are you gonna do?
Then I'd probably take the Ravens as a first round exit.
Really? You really like the Chargers?
I do.
Okay.
I do,
That
man.
I'll tell you what, you'll get a good money line price on the Chargers to win that game. That
It's
ball.
Harbaugh, baby.
Yeah, he knows how to win. He knows how to win.
All right. Well, let's just do a quick recap here for likes. Ravens -18, Texans, Titans under 38.5, Seahawks -6.5, double like on Vikings +3, key number 3 there.
Eight.
Matt's likes New England +3, Carolina +8.5, Kansas City +10.5. Best bet for me, Chargers -4.5. Hate it, kind of like it. Washington -4.5. Seen fives and 5.5s out there, and Matt thinks it's going to be a blowout. So
Don't care what you get.
yeah, okay. Well, let's keep that best bet streak going here, Matthew. And thank you everybody for listening. Like us on YouTube at Better in Laws. Follow us on our socials at Better in Laws. And we'll see you in the first round of the playoffs next week here on the Better in Laws podcast. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thanks.